Hi, my name is Samantha and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be reviewing the Northern Virginia Christmas Market at the Dulles Expo Center. Let's get into it. So the Dulles Expo Center is a big building in, I was going to say Dulles, Virginia, in Chantilly, Virginia. I have been a vendor there for many years. I have done multiple different shows there, working with different event companies. This event company is called EMG. I believe it stands for Event Management Group, I'm pretty sure. There's also another group that does the shows in March and October and December. EMG does a show in November, and then they do a show in March and November in Virginia Beach. I have done the March show before. I was not very successful, but I want to try again. Next year, I plan to do the Thanksgiving show. So I need to look at like hotel prices, the show prices, and see if I get in and see what happens with that and see if it's worth it. I definitely think it'll be worth it. I had a lot of vendors talk to me this weekend and tell me that I should definitely try it and see how it goes. So that is my plan for next year. I want to try and do that as long as the numbers work out. So let's talk about what happened this weekend. So this weekend, it was really a great time. I really love being at the Dulles Expo Center. It is definitely a much bigger show. It has a bigger cost, but there is a bigger possible return on investment, right? You got to go big to go home, or go big, go home. You got to play big to win big. I personally like ticketed events. I think that ticket events are very great. I feel like they are more secure. I feel like the customers are better. I feel like the customers are kinder. I feel like there is less issue of theft or teenagers. There are less children as well. Not that there's anything wrong with teenagers and kids, but teenagers are typically the ones that steal and kids are typically the ones that are like messing up your display or have Cheeto hands and touching the fabric. So, I prefer events where if there are kids, the kids are young enough that they're still in the stroller and they're not touching anything. So this typically happens at the ticketed events that it is mostly adults walking around, and if there are children, they are contained in a stroller. So the cost of the show was $850. That's how much I paid because there was $20 application fee, $100 deposit, $680 because I got a booth and a half. So my space was 10 by 15 rather than 10 by 10. I do think a 10 by 15 is the perfect amount of space because you need 10 by 10 amount of space for your product, and then that little extra wiggle room gets you space to be able to move in and out of your booth. It gives you that little bit of wiggle room. So I really like having a booth and a half. I think that's the perfect amount of space for me. I also paid $50 additional to have a corner booth. I love doing an L setup. I think it's the best setup for my customers and for my product. So I always try to pay for a corner booth and get a corner booth if I can. So the total of that is $850. The show was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday and Saturday were 10 to 6 and Sunday was 10 to 5. Setup was on Thursday. The weather was all over the place. On Thursday, I was setting up in shorts and a t-shirt. They did not have the air conditioner on and I was sweating. It was so hot. Friday, it was fine, just jeans and a t-shirt. Saturday and Sunday, I've got like a jacket on because outside it was so cold. So the weather was just all over the place this weekend. Pros and cons. The first pro is the customers. The customers were so kind, so thoughtful, so so wonderful this weekend. I just had a great time. I did not have any bad customers. It was such a great experience, getting to talk to new customers, getting to talk to returning customers. I love when customers tell me who they are, like, oh, I've had your products for 2 years now and I want to buy some more, because I interact with way too many people that I cannot remember every single face. So I love it when a customer tells me who they are so that I can, acknowledge that and say thank you. And I really appreciate the repeat support. And I had a couple customers that were like, where were you last year? We wanted to buy from you, but you weren't here. So that was really kind and I really appreciated it. And it was such a good confidence booster, and it just made me so happy. Another pro is that it's a very safe location and it's easy to function there. You set up on Thursday or you can set up Friday morning. Thursday is much easier. set up. There are security guards posted at all of the doors. Everything is flat. That's another thing about the customers. This is the most easily accessible location that I do out of any shows. And it's really great to be able to see so many people who have walking disabilities, you know, people in wheelchairs, people with walkers. There were so many people who couldn't go to some of the normal shows that were able to go to this show because it's such an easily accessible location. So I really love that. I love how it's accessible to people of all walks of life. I think that's great. It's safe, it's easy, like whether you're running the booth with someone or by yourself. I had this one time where I was by myself. I needed to go run to the restroom. I found a lull and I was like, okay, I'm gonna run real quick. I was not gone for even 5 minutes. I was gone real fast. I came back and this woman was like, are you the one in the booth? And I was like, yeah, is everything okay? Like, did you have any questions? And she was like, oh, I just wanted to let you know that I took 3 jar openers and I set $16 underneath your display over there. And I was like, oh my God, that is so kind. Thank you so much. I appreciate the honesty. And these customers were at my booth at the time and they're like, oh my God, that's so great. I love that she did that. I'm like, yeah, you know, like when you're by yourself, you gotta go, you gotta go. You know, I'm not selling diamonds over here. Like if someone needs a jar opener that bad, like take the jar opener. Like I'm not counting the jar openers every 5 seconds. Like obviously I want people to be trustworthy and I don't want someone to steal from me, but like it's not worth trying to like be a hero and stay at my booth for 8 hours solid. So that was really great. It was a really great like faith in humanity really kind of thing, like, and it was so kind. I really appreciated that. I also think that there was no drama. Like I didn't have any issues with any of the event organizers or the security guards or anything like that. Everyone was great. The janitorial staff was so great. They were constantly going around collecting the trash, sweeping the floors. They do serve food at Dulles, specifically popcorn, and then there was people giving out samples at their booths. So at one point, like there was popcorn all over the floor in front of my booth. Like I'm not doing anything that's causing any sort of mess, but there are people making a mess with their food. So I really appreciated that the janitorial staff was like constantly going around and cleaning things and keeping things tidy. It's really great. And I told them thank you every time I saw them. Music, they had music playing the whole time. It was at a good level. There was a couple songs where the music got a little louder. I don't think that's their fault, just like sometimes the music gets higher and lower, but it was really nice to have some ambiance music. The show really was quite steady the whole time. There were times when it was so busy I couldn't see across, but there were times when it was slower. I was surprised at how many people were there on Sunday. I'm so used to Sunday, there's like maybe a couple people walking by. There was quite a few customers on Sunday. And on Sunday morning, I had quite a few customers who told me, you know, I gave up on Saturday. It was too busy. So I went home and came back. So I love that because it is a ticketed event. But if you pay for your ticket, then you can come back another day. So, you know, you can come back every single day if you wanted to. You can come back Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And you know, that sounds crazy. Like, oh, why would you need to go 3 times? There's over 300 vendors. So if you really want to take a look at every vendor, like it could take you the whole time to do that. I know there's a lot of customers that like to start on one end and then they'll snake their way through and they will use their directory. On the back of the directory is a map and they will circle all the booth numbers of booths that they wanted to go back to. And then they'll go back to the beginning and shop at those booths. So I always recommend that to people if they're getting overwhelmed. I'm like, go ahead and just circle my booth and then you can come back to me when you're ready. But yeah, it is a little overwhelming how many booths there are, but it's also great because there's so much selection. I also feel like they did a really good job with the diversity. As far as I saw, all the sewing people, we had different products. There were multiple sewing people, but we were all in different categories, so I feel like they did a good job. I did have a crochet person say to me, we were having a conversation and she was saying that she didn't feel like there was very much diversity in the crochet category, that a lot of people had the same stuff. So I didn't get to speak to her again later on in the show, but I hope she did well and was able to you know, get some more sales and differentiate herself from the other crocheters. It is hard, you know, when there's like 15 jewelry people, 15 candle people. You need something to make yourself unique. That's why I don't do bowl cozies. I do not do the garbage bag dispensers because too many people do those. The table runners, the placemats, like they're just too common. Way too many sewists do them. So I try to avoid those products so that my products can stand out and I can be unique. I also got to interact. I had a woman come up to my booth and introduce herself that she is someone who follows me. Sorry I didn't catch your name, but if you're watching this video, thank you so much for introducing yourself to me. I really appreciate it. We had a great conversation about embroidery, and it was so nice to like be supported. Like, I don't think she came just to see me, but it was really awesome that like she came up to me and introduced herself and said, you know, like, I've been watching your videos and I started my own channel. So I love that. I think that's so great. Because like, if I'm interacting with a customer and they are someone who's already a subscriber, I don't know. Like, I don't know everyone's face. I don't know everybody's name. So I love that when like people tell me who they are and we can have that amazing interaction. And it like I said, it's just like another confidence boost that like what I'm doing is spreading positivity in the world. So I really, really love that. And I really appreciate that we were able to have that conversation. Also talked to some other vendors about some other shows that I should do, because I love going to a vendor and like becoming friends and saying, you know, what's your favorite show? And so I have 3 shows written down. Harrisburg Christmas Market on December 6th, Bedford, PA Fall Foliage, the National Apple Festival in Biglerville. So I need to check those out, look at the application, look at the dates. Next year, I really want to be a lot more selective in my shows. I do not want to do small shows. I want to do shows that are you know, profitable. I want to try crazy goal. We'll do a whole goals video and a craft video on its own video, but like I want to try and make my goal that every show that I am having $1,000 in sales. I know that sounds like really high, but I'm feeling really confident. I made some changes in my booth this weekend. I'm coming out with some new products. I'll show you what I mean. But I really think that that will help bring up my average dollar sale, which will really help my overall sales. Let me show you. Oh, we didn't go over the cons. Hold on. Let's circle back. The cons. The first con is the parking lot. I'm not referring to the customer parking lot. I'm not sure how that situation is. I assume it's fine because it's a really big parking lot. I'm talking about the vendor lot. So when you're a vendor at the Dulles Expo Center, you are only supposed to have one car and you're supposed to park in this little side lot that's on the side. These people are the worst parkers I have ever seen in my entire life. I really, really wish that they would either have the security guard or someone from the show outside, like managing the parking lot, because it is horrible. There are so many vehicles taking up a spot and a half, or trailers taking up a spot and a half, and it is such an inefficient use of the space. It makes it so hard to park. And like, even when someone is parked correctly, like the one day I went and parked and I had my wagon in the back seat, I had to like use the smallest motions possible to try and get it out so I wouldn't like door ding their car, because I had my door open the most I could and I had like maybe like this much space because it was so tight. And like, it's just a horrible parking lot to begin with. And then when you have people who cannot park and do not take the time to like park correctly within the spot, it just makes it so much worse, and it takes away spots that could be used by someone else. So I don't know if they need to do like trailers only on this section, trucks only on this section, minivans only on this section. Like, I don't know if like segregating the cars would help or what, but like the parking every single year has been such a nightmare. I dread it every time I go. Like every morning I'm like, oh my God, I gotta deal with this parking lot. I try to get there an hour before the show starts, so 9 a.m., so that there's less cars, so that I have more of a chance of getting a parking spot. Because if you get there like 9:30, 9:45, you're going to have to like fish for a spot. You're going to not find a spot. You're going to have to park farther away, maybe in the Walmart parking lot, and have to walk all the way over. And you're not supposed to park over there because that's not the parking lot we're assigned. So the vendor parking lot is just a nightmare every single year, and it's so terrible. And I do not understand why we can't all work together. We're all on the same team. We're all trying to do the same thing. So why can people not take the extra minute to park properly? It is so frustrating. I cannot even tell you. So that is my biggest con every single year, every single show. It's a problem. I already said the other con is that when we set up, it was so hot. The air conditioner was not on, and it was like 80 degrees that day. It was so hot. And then the second con. So there are doors, like doors that roll up on the front of the building and on the back of the building. And I usually get my stuff packed up and then go out the front for loadout. Like I get my whole booth packed up so that boom, I could just take my loads out. And I was ready to go. I'm like, we're gonna do this in 2 trips. We got this. Got 6 bins stacked up on my cart. Go walk to the entrance and they will not open the doors. there is a line of like 20 of us waiting for these doors to open. The reason they would not open the doors is because they put a booth right in front of the doors. So this lady who had this booth with all of these panels and all of these wreaths was having to like cut down her displays, trying to put her displays away because they would not open the door until she was done taking her booth down. And like, that is so wrong. That is so wrong of them to have put all this pressure on this one woman and to get her booth taken down super quick so that all the other vendors can get to their car quickly. And of course, by that point, it's dark out, it started raining. It was just an issue. It was such an issue. I would have been done and packed up within 20 minutes if we didn't have an issue at the door, but I ended up having to take like 35 minutes. So it was 5:35 by the time I got in the car. I would have been done by 5:20 if this booth was not an issue, and I'm not blaming the woman. It is not the woman's fault. It is the event host's fault for putting that woman at that spot, because that is always how it works. We always use the door at the front. I have never had this happen before. I do not know why they put a booth there. It kind of rolls into my second point. The last con is that there was no space behind the booths. So the first time I did the show, there was space. So there are curtains, red and white curtains. They do the same ones every year. And usually there is like a like a foot gap between you and the person behind you. This is good for two things. One, if something like falls in your booth, it's not going to hit directly into their booth. There's a little gap area. Two, it gives you space to put any backstock of products rather than putting it under the tables. So it's a little more secure and a little easier to access because it's not underneath your tables. And three, it gives you a little wiggle room. Like, it gives you a little room where like the person behind you is not right behind you. Like, there was times when I was sitting in my booth and like the person is like literally like right behind me, behind the curtain, right? Like, they're like 3 inches behind me. So like, it also helps with like noise reduction, not having the person like right next to you. So they took these things away and then they increased the amount of spots. So they're just trying to maximize their money and trying to maximize the amount of vendors. Like, we don't need a vendor in that spot that bad that prevented like such a holdup at the door. So I don't know, like, I feel like the spots are just getting like tighter and tighter, and like they're trying to pack more and more people every single year. So I'm not sure what's going on there. It happens not only with them, but with the other event host as well, the one that does the other shows at the expo. So it's just like, can we just have a little bit more wiggle room? Can we have a little bit more space? Like, you're already charging us almost $1,000 to be there. Like, how is that not enough money? But I don't know everything that goes on that end. But those are just my 3 issues with the show and the venue. They're not a huge deal. It's not a deal breaker. I will be back. I want to do the show again, but there are definitely things to take into account, especially if you have big items and you do need that storage. They did allow you to be in a storage area. I think it was like in the way back of the show, but you had to like tell them ahead of time, and then the stuff isn't in your booth. I don't really have this issue personally, but I know a lot of booths, they have an issue not having enough room for the back stock. Okay, so now that we talked about the pros and cons and talked about the show overall, I want to show you the things that I will purchased from all of my event friends. So the first thing is from the booth that was right next to me. So I was like in a little quad section of 4 of us that had a booth and a half. So we were each on a corner, and we were in a little like square. So the people right beside me, we shared a half wall, and then there was a full panel behind us, and then the people behind us shared a half wall. They were so kind. It was so great being next to them. I want to say their names were John and Connie. I could be wrong, but I think that was their names. Such kind people. I really enjoyed being next to them. This happens to me a lot at shows. I ended up being their like IT support. Like, they were having issues with their square, and I had to like walk them through it, how to fix it. So I don't mind helping. I love that, like, you can help your neighbor and then they help you. I talk about that all the time. Like, if there's something that you can stop and help your neighbor for, stop and help them right away. Like, it's good to help someone else, and you never know when you need help too. Personally, when I was setting up, I was going back to the car, and there was this vendor on my aisle, and they were putting up a tent without a top. And it's really hard to put up a tent when you don't have someone on each corner. And so I just jumped in and I just helped them get the notches up and, get the tent up. They didn't even say thank you. Whatever. I don't care. I did my part. I helped. I walked away. And later on that same day, I was having issues with my display. and I had to go to my neighbor on my other side, the gentleman who had painting. I believe his name was Barry. And I had to ask him for help. I'm like, hey, can you help me take this display apart? Or do you have a wrench and I could do it myself? And so he was able to help me. And like, not that it's like tit for tat, but like I feel like you do need to give to get. So like I gave help, and so then I didn't feel as guilty asking for help. So I definitely feel like if you can help your neighbors and it takes you less than 30 seconds, why wouldn't you help them? So that's just my philosophy. But anyways, the people next to me with the wood, they were so talented, so kind, so wonderful to be next to. I think having like a kind next door neighbor is so important at a show. Like when you're next to someone who's like not being kind, or they're being dirty and making a mess, or like it doesn't make the show as fun, as easy, as happy. Like, so I really enjoy having good neighbors. So I bought from them this cutting board. This caught my eye and I just thought it was so beautiful. Like the craftsmanship, look how cool that design is. So I think that this will look so cool. I feel like because of the design, you will not see all of the knife marks. So I'm really excited for this to be like an all the time, just leave it on the counter cutting board. Like you go to make a sandwich, boom, it's on the counter. You go to cut an apple, boom, it's on the counter. Like no meats or anything like that. Like, but things that can just be like rinsed off. So like, because you can't wash in the dishwasher, and like wood kind of grosses me out. So I want to make sure that like it can be kept clean as much as possible. He also gave me mineral oil to put on it when it gets not so pretty. And then he also had a bunch of other stuff like salt and pepper shakers, spoons, bird houses, all sorts of stuff, lots of stuff. But he had these games, and like this game in particular, so you have to see how these pieces match these. So then you have to move all of these pieces without pulling them out and get this. I'm gonna cheat right now just to show you what it's supposed to look like at the end. But you're supposed to get it on the inside with only like moving the pieces. So it was really nice being next to them. They were so kind. I'm so excited to have these in my collection. I loved it. The next person that I got something from is my friend Andrew. He has children's books. So this is his fourth book. His first book is about bath time, and then the second one is astronauts. The third one is cowboy. And then this one is an underwater. I did not do very many shows last year, so I did not get to see him last year and get this book. He is working on his fifth book, and then the collection will be done. So I'm so excited next year for him to get his fifth book. And then he also personalized it for me. Oh, the sticker stuck. I'll show you the stickers in a second. So he personalized it for me. We have been friends for a couple of years now. We were next to each other at Dulles, and that's where we met. And, you know, I saw him when we were at Virginia Beach. So, like, it's really nice to, like, have so many vendor friends. On Friday morning when I, got there, got my booth set up, and then I went and walked around in the morning. It was so nice to, like, see so many friendly faces, get so many hugs. Like, I really enjoy, like, my vendor friends that I've met over the years, and they're just so kind. And it's not like we hang out or like we talk a bunch, but you know, they're so supportive, and like the compliments that I got from them mean so much. Like I really appreciate it. Like when friends or family or a customer says like, oh, your booth looks really nice. Like I appreciate it. Like I do. But like a compliment from a vendor friend, like, wow, I see how much you've improved. I'm so proud of you. Like that compliment is so weighted because they know how much work goes into the show, right? Like they understand how much effort and blood, sweat, and tears and like sleepless nights and things like that go into being there and doing all the work that it is that we do. And so to get so many compliments and like all my friends to tell me like, oh, like you've improved so much. I'm so proud of you. Like your booth looks amazing. Like it made my heart feel so happy. And I had a great time. These are some of Andrew's stickers, and I do have his other books already, so I just needed this fourth book, and then I will need the fifth book when it comes out next year. I'll have his link down below. I'll link anybody that I can. I don't think the woodworking guys have a website, but if they do, I'll have them linked down below. But yeah, this is book number 4. Then my friend Amber, she does sewing. And I got some headbands from her. So these are reversible headbands. They are so cute. So you like put them on your head and then tie them. I got all Christmas ones. And I love that you can just like throw them in the washing machine. They are so easy to like upkeep. Love them. So I got 4 headbands from my friend Amber. And then the guy across from me, he had different artwork. And I am working on decorating my office with like a bookish theme. I have some artwork that I've purchased and I have some artwork that I've made. And so it's going to be like a like fantasy book themed. And he had these like book corners, or not book corners. It's meant to like, I can kind of show you. So it's meant to go like this, but you don't like this, but you do it on the door. And he said that I could use it on the frame. So I got to see what my frames are going to look like and see if I can get it to stick on. It's just resin, so it's very lightweight. But it's like a dragon reading a book. So I think that would look so cool in my office, along with like my wall of all my other fantasy art. So once I get all the pieces put together, I'll show you guys what I'm talking about, but super excited about that. So those are all the things that I bought from all the vendors next to me, and my friends at the show. I also swung by Hobby Lobby one of the days and I spent less than 15 bucks and I got a couple remnant pieces. So let me show those off real quick. So this one is like a, what is the word? Pine cones. They are all quilting cotton. So this one was $5. This one is like a religious one. That it was $4. And then this one is butterflies. So these are all patterns that people asked me for. So I'm glad to be able to add them to my stash, and then I was able to get them on sale because they're remnant pieces. Let me go through the list with you guys. I wrote down all of the things that people asked me. I have so many notes. Okay, so the first animals that people asked me was a capybara and a marmot. And it was one guy that asked me for these two. And I was like, are those real animals or are those like mythology animals? Like, I don't know what that is. And he's like, no, they're real. Look them up. And I looked them up and I was like, oh, they're like the same thing. Like they're both like a bunny size, and they're classified as rodent and they're like brown. He's like, no, they're completely different. This and that. And I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't have these. So I don't even know if that's something I'll ever be able to find, but it's on my list. We'll see if we can find it. If I do add it to my stash, I wonder if there's even like a demand for that. So let me know in the comment section down below. Have you ever heard of either of those animals? And if I did have it as a jar opener, would you buy it? Some of the other requests made more sense. Were frogs, porpoise, snowman, cycling, mountains, religious, hippo, stars, moon, ladybug, pickleball, tomato, lime, Christmas, lavender, lighthouse, pickle. Oh, pickle and then pickleball. 2 separate things. And then the gaps that I found were sports balls, rainbow, ocean. And when I say rainbow, I need a red, I need an orange, I need a yellow. Ocean, lemon, bee, fantasy, dinosaur, floral, and then sewing and crafting. Like the sewing and the crafting jar openers went really fast. So I have a long shopping list. You know, and I'm going to go through all of the ones from this year and I'm going to make one solid list. And I'm really hoping to go to that store in Fredericksburg, even if I can do it online, and like try and get all of that fabric from a small business. So I would really, really love to shop at that store in Fairfax and see if I can get all of these different patterns for next year. But we'll see. So this is my shopping list for next year. I had a lot of requests, also to do the flannel in the wood again. Yeah, so lots and lots of requests. I also made some new friends, and like this one guy, he was like, hey, you do the Leesburg farmers market, right? And I was like, yeah, like, are you from Pennsylvania? Like, how'd you know that? And I think that's so cool because like, once again, like I interact with so many vendors, I interact with so many customers. It's hard for me to remember everyone and everything. I try really hard to, but I don't, right? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't recognize your product. And he's like, oh, no, that makes sense because I didn't have this stuff there. So he did the woodworking and he had all Christmas stuff this time. And he was like, when I was at Leesport, I had different stuff because I had, I think he had summertime stuff. So, you know, it makes sense. Like my stuff is the same every time. My logo is the same every time. So it's really cool when like someone calls calls you out and like, hey, did you do this? Like, let's talk about this. So I really love that. I really love meeting new people. I love like hearing other people's thoughts. So that was very cool. Okay. Now, what you've been waiting for, let's talk numbers. So like I said, it cost $850 to be there. So it was 3 days. My goal was $850 each day, which is $2,550 for the whole weekend. On Friday, we did $1,088 in sales, and that's 52 sales, $22.69 is the average sale, $860 in credit cards, and I paid $26 in fees. On Saturday, we did $1,064 in 60 sales, and the average sale was $19.77. Card sales was $863, and the fee was $27. And on Sunday, we did $872, 46 sales, $20.39 average, card sales, $746, the fee, $23. So overall, we did $3,304 $3,024. And the sales was 158 sales, a $20.91 average. Card sales was 2,468, and the fee was $75, and the cash was $737. So that's another thing I don't get is like a lot of customers and vendors are like, don't do credit card, don't do credit card. Like people want to use their credit card. Like, I don't care. I made $2,468 and paid $75 in fees. So walked home with $2,400 that I don't have to deal with, that gets direct deposit right into my account. Like, cash is such a pain in the butt. I had to like go to the bank physically, go deposit it, and then maybe I have to get change, and then in the moment I'm having to like do change, like, and cash is disgusting. Like, I don't want to touch cash, or like I kind of want to say like no cash at all, we're card only, because like it's so much faster to do card and it's so much easier. So I do not understand like everyone being like, oh, the credit card fees, like increase your prices by $1. Like, who cares? Like $75 for 3 days and I did $3,000 in sales. Like, I do not get the credit card resistance. But anyways, there's a lot of credit card resistance from like the other vendors and stuff. But it was absolutely an amazing weekend. We hit all of the goals. It was so great. I did not feel like I was having to be like an over salesperson. Like, I say this all the time, I am not a salesperson. I am there to like, I work so hard on my product, on my signage, on my booth. Like, if you have questions about my product, I am more than happy to talk about my product, but I am not going to force you to buy something you don't want. Typically, when someone walks up to my booth, because the jar openers are all spread out and people think that they're coasters, I start off by saying, hi, good morning, something like that. Hi, like, all of these are jar openers. I have over 100 patterns to choose from. They are $6 each, or 3 for $16, because if you buy 3 of anything, it's $2 off. You're welcome to try them out. There's a jar right there. And I leave it at that. I've said all of my words that I need to say. That is my sales pitch, and I don't push past that. The towels, if someone doesn't understand what the towels are, I tell them, these reusable towels, they're made of cotton flannel. The more you wash them, the more absorbent they get. The draw to them is that they stick to themselves on the roll. That is why you would want to use them rather than using a kitchen rag or a kitchen towel, because a lot of people say to me, why can't I just use my kitchen towel? Why can't I just use the rag? Well, typically those are in a bin or they are in a drawer and they are less accessible. These are prettier. They are easier to access because they sit on the paper towel roll. The only things I wouldn't use them for are raw meat, grease, bodily fluids, but doing your typical paper towel things, wiping your hands, wiping something off, cleaning the kitchen or cleaning the counter, cleaning the windows, anything like that, you can use them for. They're not going to absorb an entire glass of water if it spills, but they can wipe things up. And if you have the green Swiffer, the one with the notches, not the purple one, you can use it to dry Swiffer, throw them in the washer and dryer. Everything here has been pre-washed. Nothing's going to shrink. Nothing's going to bleed. It will fade over time. If you don't dry them, then they will stay prettier longer. And so depending on how many words they let me say, those are all the words that I say. So I'm repeating myself many, many times. But like, I don't push further than that. Like, if someone walks away, they walk away. Like, I'm not like, oh, are you sure you don't want to buy one? Oh, come back. Oh, yeah, you buy that. Oh, that's the best one for you. Like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, I work so hard on everything else. I don't need to be a pushy salesman. So those are my words. That's what I say to people. And it's working, right? So on Friday, we sold jar openers, reusable towels, wine bags, tissue pouches, coasters, and key fobs. The overall winner, absolutely, this entire weekend and every single day was the jar openers. Jar openers, we did $858 in jar openers on Friday. That's 143 jar openers. Reusable towels was $272, 17 reusable towels. Wine bags, 2 of them for $20. Tissue pouches, 2 of them for $12. Coaster 1 set for $10. Key fob 1 for $8. And then on Saturday was 105 jar openers, which is $630. 29 reusable towels, which is 464 dollars in towels. Sorry. 1 wine bag, $10. 9 tissue pouches for $54. 2 coaster sets for $20. 1 key fob for $8. And then on Sunday, we only did jar openers, reusable towels, and tissue pouches. None of the other stuff sold. We did $109 in jar openers, which is, 109 quantity, and that is $654 in jar openers. 17 quantity and reusable towels, which is $272, and then 2 tissue pouches, which is $12. So the jar openers beat out everything by a landslide, because if we look at the overall totals, the jar openers was 357 quantity, which is 2,142. The runner-up at less than half. The jar openers did more than double the sales of the reusable towels. Only $1,008 in reusable towels, and then 63 reusable towels. So the jar openers was over $2,000, and the reusable towels was $1,000. And then $78 in wine. That doesn't make sense. I must have wrote something in the wrong column, because I have like $78 written down for the wine bags, but that's wrong. Something's wrong about my bottom math here. So I'll just have it listed on the screen. Something's wrong with my math down here. But anyways, it was a landslide. The other objects were like barely sold. Now I did have them over on a side display, because I didn't want them taking up valuable space on my table. So that is probably the reason they didn't sell as well. And that's fine. The jar openers like brought home the bacon. And it's also crazy because I do 600 jar openers every February. So just this one show, I sold, maybe not the exact same ones that I made, but quantity wise, over half of the jar openers I made in February, I sold this weekend only. So it'll be really interesting to see my numbers of the whole year when I finish the last show in December. So I still have a show this week, 2 days at a preschool, and then this Saturday at Quakertown, and then next month I have Claude Moore, and then I have Quakertown again. So I have 5 show days left this year. So I'm really interested to see the numbers at the end of the year. Did I sell more than 600 jar openers? If so, maybe we have to do more than 600 in February. I don't know if that's possible. It is really hard for me to do the 600 jar openers. Like, I struggle to get them done. So I may have to do the 600 jar opener challenge twice next year. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how much it ends up being. But I am overall really happy with how the show went. I'm really proud of the changes that I made. You know, I was going through my goals. Like, the first goal on Friday was $100. Boom, we hit that goal so fast. The next goal was $500. Boom, we hit that goal so fast. The next goal was to beat the first time I was there, which was in 2021. I made $548 in sales. I beat that before 1 p.m. on Friday. Boom, beat that goal. The next goal was to beat the $850. We beat that goal. And then we exceeded $1,000 on that day. The next day, I was waiting until I exceeded the whole weekend goal of 2022. So in 2022, we sold $1,774. By 3 p.m. on Saturday, we beat that goal. So overall, every time I've gone to Dulles, I've doubled my sales. So ambitious goal, but next year, can I do $5,000 in sales in a weekend? I think I can. I really want to push myself. Like I said, I have some things in mind to have some higher price point items. So I'm going to try and implement those, get my signage put together, get the products put together, and I'm really excited for them. I think that they will help increase the average dollar sale. And I want to do $5,000 in sales in 3 days next year. We'll see how it goes. The other goal that we were trying to beat, so the total cost of all of the shows this week in Virginia, Clarke County Fairgrounds, Dulles, Great Beginnings, all 3 of my shows, the event fees was $1,040. That is how much the sales were just on Friday at Dulles. So that felt so good, like that, not that this trip was free, but like, because there's still like the cost of the items, there's the gas, there's the food, there's all these other costs, right? But like to do that amount in one day is just, it's so spectacular, and it's so great. Like I've put so much work into this, and I'm so grateful to be seeing the return. We also beat the goal. So Clarke County Fairgrounds sales plus Dulles sales, by 12:30 on Sunday, we exceeded the goal that I set for the entire week. So for all 3 shows, my goal was $3,150. We beat that by 1:30 on Sunday if we include the Dulles and the Clarke County Fairgrounds. So that means Great Beginnings this week, and not Quakertown because that wasn't factored in, but Great Beginnings this week, like, is nothing but positivity. It's all great. It can't go wrong. It's all perfect. So I'm so excited. I love doing that show. Like that is definitely not a show that'll bring home $1,000, but it is such a happy show. I love working with that event host. I love like contributing to the preschool. It is so great. I love interacting with the kids. The parents are so kind, the grandparents. It is such a positive show. All the other vendors there are so kind. It is an MLM show. There are going to be like Mary Kay and 31 type people there, but I've never had any issues. It's always been such a great experience. I love doing it, and I'm so excited to be back. Heather is the name of the event organizer. She is so great. So I'm so excited to do that show, and I don't see how it can go wrong. Like this week has gone so well. I'm so excited. I cannot wait on Thursday to tell you guys about how the show was. And then next week, I'll tell you how Quakertown was. And I want to do a recap of, doing 4 shows within 2 weeks, and was it worth it? And tell you all about like my notes that I took down, my goals, my planning, and like, did it work out? Was it worth it? So let me know what other questions you want me to answer in those videos. Did I answer everything? Give me 1 second here. So let me know if there's any other questions that I can answer in those upcoming videos. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.